honestly, we can just start at every. We'll just keep going here. I guess just to for formality's sake, welcome. I guess I figured more people will probably know you than me at this point. So like, it would be. I'm like, is there even? Do I need to like make an intro or anything like that for this guy? I'm like, yeah, I guess I probably should. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
To Just About Anything, a podcast where I try to talk about just about anything. Hence the name.
Yeah.
But I think you are unique because I don't get to talk to people who've been in like the professional like gaming thing. Like I've helped some like local companies around here before. There's a company called Powder Keg Games. I still help them out whenever I can. They actually ran the Smash Brothers tournament. They had a couple fighting game tournaments at Atronicon and
I know
all those events.
There was a store called it was a card shop, Campus Cards and Games, I think. They used to run a lot of events too. I remember. I
think was it Mark helps them, or he used to. I don't think he does.
Oh, really?
It started with a P. The company that actually ran the tournaments. It was like not Prodigy or I don't know.
That sounds very familiar.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, Gonzo like works with them. I don't remember the name of the company, but he like helps organize the tournaments and whatnot. But that's like as close to esports I guess I got was just like in very I'm even then I'm not even that good at most fighting games. Like I used to be pretty decent at Tekken, and I think I'd be better at Super Smash Brothers if I played a better character. And I'm just, I guess, too headstrong to switch to something else at this point.
I love fighting games. I love the community. I've never really gotten into them, but I love the community. They have like watching those tournaments is really fun.
Like the famous Daigo and Wong. That's like stuff like that happens all the time, like that on smaller scales, but it's really cool. How did you get into like Overwatch?
So I really liked League of Legends. I was a really big MOBA player, and when I was younger I played a lot of FPSs. So when Overwatch was announced, I was like, whoa, this game looks really cool. And me and my friend, his name's Hayden, he lives in Canada, and we grind League every day together. We both saw the game and we're like, wow, this game's really cool. You want to play this game when it comes out? And I was like, yeah, sure, because we both wanted to be like pro players in a game of something, right? And we just played Overwatch. Like when I got my beta key before the game came out, I got into a weekend beta, so I only could play that weekend, and then my key'd get revoked, and then I would play again when the game launched. And it was the very last weekend open beta.
yeah, I think I remember that too.
They were like closed mini betas essentially, and I played for 25 hours straight.
Jesus.
I did not stop playing the game. It was very unhealthy, and I was like, okay, this is the game I want to play. So when it came out, I didn't do 25 hours a day ever again, but like I would play the game for like very long extended periods of time because I really wanted to get good. And if you looked at a bronze Overwatch player today, that was me when I first started playing the game. I have clips of me. I have clips of me literally on my computer of when I first started playing, of me playing McCree and shooting someone that was standing still and missing. I actually have clips of that.
Just stun them and just like
because I literally stunned them and I can't hit it because like before that I didn't play an FPS. I was not used to mouse and keyboard. I was used to MOBAs and abilities and aiming abilities. I was not used to FPSs, so I had to get used to aiming. And by the end of it, like I can play DPS at a GM level in Overwatch, even though I went pro as a support player, because like I really wanted to get good at aiming. That was like one of like my most important things. But
I mean, I think that's important for both, like any role that you're really playing.
Yeah,
but
it's less important for supports than it is because like when you play like Lucio or Mercy or something, like you're not really you don't have to be insane aiming to play that role.
Is it just like Ana and maybe Baptiste are probably the only ones that's a huge deal for.
And traditionally, people that would play the role I played, which is main support, only played those two characters, the Lucio and Mercy, up until recently. So aiming as a main support didn't really it didn't matter too much. Like it still mattered because like hitting your shots as Lucio is good. Like you can do damage. You know what I mean? Like you can really like one shot somebody on that character if you had headshots, but in the beginning it didn't really matter. So
that's cool, man. my brother always gets on me because he's way better than I am. Like he might be diamond or platinum. I'm not sure. I have gotten to gold, but like that's about it. And part of it, I guess, is the part where I whine about Overwatch for a little bit. But and you could probably give me more insight and maybe explain why it feels this way for a solo queuer in that game. It just feels abysmal. Like it feels like if you don't have a pre-made team to play with, there's no way you're gonna get out of any rank. You're in bronze now. Like that's where you exist. Like
it feels like that. It feels like that too when you're like a pro player. Like when you're playing on a team and you. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Sure. You're playing Goats meta, right? And what was really important in Goats meta was your Zarya bubbling your Reinhardt when Brig would go to bash through his shield to stun the Rein, because then you could one shot the Rein once his shield was stunned, right?
Right.
So a really important. It was like a push and pull of Zarya's gaining charge, and then the Brig would go in for the bash. It was like a flow. And then you need to bubble your Rein. And if you didn't have the bubble up, you were probably going to lose the fight, right? So, like, there were times when my team was first learning Goats. And my team ended up being, like, the best Goats team in contenders up until finals when we lost, right? And all through that process, it was so hard learning and together. Because we'd sit there, and my Rein player would be like, fuck, man, why did you not bubble me, man? I can't play the game if you don't bubble me. And then... Or my Reinhardt would be like, dude, I can't play the game if you don't speed me away from the Brig bash. Or I'd say, I can't play the game because there's a Brig in my backline stunning me. Like, there's so many different things that are happening where it feels like you have no power over things happening. And it doesn't just happen in rank. It happens in competitive, happens all the time. And it's just because Overwatch has such high variance and it's all reliant on your other teammates to do things. Like, if the soldier's on high ground, I need my diva to eat that or we all die. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the diva needs to fly up and contest the guy or we just lose the fight. So, and it's all relying on team. It's not like, oh, I could have played, like, if you're playing a MOBA like League and you're an ADC and you're playing Vayne or something, you could have maybe sidestepped an extra time. Or you could have had slightly safer positioning if you know your team is bad. In Overwatch, there's like, no, I couldn't have positioned better. I just needed my diva to fly in the high ground and stop the soldier ult. You know what I mean?
It's weird. Like, I've noticed this trend of, like, it's either one of two things. Either it's, like, hyper focused on RNG, where it's, like, you have your battle royales and things like that. Or you have games like Overwatch, where it's hyper focused on the team play. But that in and of itself, when you're playing alone, or even with, like, not a full squad, as long as there's one random person who's maybe not used to how you play, that adds its own degree of like RNG, but it's more like human RNG, I guess, because you don't know how that person's going to react to different things. Like I almost miss the days of like Call of Duty and Halo and stuff, because those games you could have somebody who is just an anchor on your team, just horrible, pulling the team down, slowing everybody down. But if you're just that good, it didn't matter. Like you just carried the team, and like those games. And I get the appeal of like these team-based games, but it's frustrating for me who normally plays solo. I've been trying to get people to play Apex for like the past month. I'm like, I just need two people. I just need two people who are willing to put in the time to like get good at this game. Like,
Apex is fun too. I
love Apex. It's the only I don't think I'd play any other battle royale. Like it's the only one that I'll tolerate.
I think it's got the least amount of RNG elements of it out of all the battle royales. It still has a lot of RNG. Sure. Like, because I know pro players in Apex that whine and bitch on Twitter all day about circles and all this garbage. Like, so, and the tournament systems too for that game. But
yeah,
I think you're right. There's RNG like in all these team-based games, but I like them more. I don't think gaming will ever go back to Halo or Call of Duty. Yeah. Like they're two-dimensional as games. Like, you can't sit down and play Halo anymore for as long as you can because it's not as high variance as those games, and the variance is what makes them interesting. But my problem is when the variance becomes random opposed to variance that's caused by you, the player.
Right.
So like League is a really good example of that, because I think it's the perfect balance of like high variance with low RNG. Like, you have teammates, sure, but you can, like, if you go like 5-0 in lane, you can still carry really, really hard. You know what I mean? Like, you can go to the team fight phase and just absolutely blow the other team out of the water. Like, I was playing League the other day with one of my friends, and we both started lane like 0-2, right? And then my bottom lane started 0-2 as well. We were so far behind, right? But then we got to a team fight, where like I was playing Twisted Fate. I made a really good roam. My bot lane got somehow ahead in a trade. I TP'd. We killed him, and then we took 2 towers and a dragon off of it, and we swung the game, right? And it's just like, it was like, sure, there was the variance in like who my teammates were and if my jungler was there and all these things, right? But like, we were able to make a play and get out of a really bad situation because we made the right play. And I feel like in Overwatch and like or Battle Royale, sometimes that's just not possible to happen.
Yeah, I guess the thing I guess that's different with Apex, and the reason why I give it even the time of day is more so because that can happen. That happens in Apex, but even in just ranked games, like not even looking at tournament play, when it happens in a ranked game, it's like, okay, I lost like what, maybe 20 RP or whatever. I just queue back up, and then the odds of that happening again are so low. Like it's like it's such a minuscule thing that happens that like when it does, it's just kind of like, okay, it was my turn, and then you just get on to the next game. But
well, there's also a lot of things in Apex that pull you out of that bad RNG. Like if I'm playing and I get a bad circle, and I have the robot guy, I always forget his name.
Pathfinder.
Yeah,
you're just like,
you can just look at grab level high ground. Or maybe you have a really bad situation where you're getting surrounded and you are playing what is her name, Bangalore? And you just smoke around you. Yeah, like there's things that will get you out of that bad RNG
you have
into
options.
A better situation.
You have so many options in that game, and I love it. Like I've been playing a lot of the new guy Crypto and Bangalore.
Dude, that's recently. The drone guy, right?
Yeah,
he's like, pretty cool.
He is awesome, but he also requires your team to not be dumb. So like, there's a lot of times I'll be playing with like an Octane, and I'll just throw out like my drone. I'm like, all right, well, we know the enemy's over there. Let's get the drone set up in a place so that we can see them like constantly when we're in team fighting.
Yeah.
Octane will just go run in, and I'm just like, it's you versus 3 people. Like you're not winning this exchange at all. Like wait for me to set my drone, and then like we can go in.
Yeah,
but
you EMP them, and then
it's just like stop. But I don't know. I guess that happens so infrequently that it's not that big.
It
of a deal.
Doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah,
like in Fortnite, you get a bad circle and you build around you, and then they just break the shit you're building. It's just like it feels like this never-ending game of let me put up the next wall, and then they break it, and the next wall. And it's like, okay, that was really cool.
Fortnite, I think for me was the first. It was me acknowledging getting old. Like I watched that game and I was just like, and I think that also that it didn't help. I backed it when it was the PvE thing. The like, I forget what it was called. It was like something the Storm or whatever.
Yeah. I
was like, this looks cool. Like this is unique. And I was like, sure, $80, no problem. Like I invested in. They're like, this battle royale mode though. Like, and they said, screw all of that. We're just gonna focus on battle royale. I was like, can I get my money back? They're like, no. And I was like, all right, I guess. Like, and then when I started trying to get into the battle royale itself, I was just like, this seems fun until people started getting really good at building. Yeah. And then I was just like,
I agree. Actually,
I'm not gonna take the time it takes to learn how to get good at this. I'm just gonna move on to the next thing.
It's not interesting.
Yeah, I was like, I'm out.
I was interested in the aspect of the game that said I can get to high ground or I can get to this place without getting circle fucked.
Right.
Like, the whole idea of building to me was this idea that if I got circle fucked, I could literally just build up this hill rather than having to run around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which was cool.
Yeah, I loved that. And then they started doing all this building where they have these texts where you can do the circle build where like you can build 4 things around you all at the same time, and it's just like oh my god, like why is this a thing?
Yeah, like it's just it changes what the game. At that point, you're in Apex land, but everybody has the same abilities.
Yeah,
it's just depending on how
good. Boring.
Yeah, which is boring. So. Not to knock on Epic, but
I'm not a big fan of Fortnite. I kind of agree. Like when that game came out, I started playing it because I enjoyed it, and then I slowly was like, I really don't like this game. And then everyone started liking it. I was like, this feels really weird.
Yeah,
it's like because I was playing with like a 13-year-old on one of my teams at the time. And I get called a boomer all the time.
Yeah,
I'm like 22 and I'm getting called a boomer, right? And then I see Fortnite and I'm like, I guess I am a boomer. Like, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever,
it's me now.
I'm just not playing Fortnite, man.
I thought Apex would fall in that same category for me too.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment where I stopped playing it for a while. And then I think it was when... What was the first DLC character? It wasn't Octane, was it?
I actually don't know. Wasn't it the gas guy was at the beginning. Yeah. You just had to buy him.
You just had to buy him. I think it was Octane actually. I think around the time he came out, I was like, let's actually give it a good college try, and I've fallen in love with it now. But yeah, I don't know. I guess did you ever find a moment where, because since I guess I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but like I guess why was it that you retired? Like what was like the moment where you're just like, yeah, all right, I'm out.
So
like
there's a couple reasons actually for that. I don't mind talking about it.
Okay, cool.
So essentially, I was in a place where I had been playing this game for about 4 years.
Okay.
Overwatch League was still above me.
Mm-hmm.
I was in contenders,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, I was at peak before. I hit peak again. In theory, I got second in contenders. I'm like, I should be in the next season of Overwatch League, right? And then it was just like it didn't happen, and it was like I felt terrible. I got like 1 or 2 tryouts. Was it? And one went really well. The other went not so well, but it didn't matter at the end of the day. And they recycled a lot of talent that like rode the bench. There were players from other regions that didn't even like place well. They got in, and it was just like I was just sitting there. I was like kind of scratching my head because I was like, I know I played really well.
Yeah.
I know there was like a match or two where I played really, really bad.
Yeah.
But overall, I did really well, and I didn't make it. So I was like, okay, I have to reevaluate what I'm doing here,
right?
Because it didn't work. And I'm like, can this work again? So I played for this other team, and we did terribly. Like I joined a team like literally the day of the roster lock because I was teamless, right? And I was like, I'll just join this team because it's better than not playing.
Sure.
We played terribly, and to be honest, like it's gonna sound really egotistical, but I joined a team that was like really like low below me because I just placed really high, and they placed like last.
Sure.
And I was like, can I make this work? I couldn't make it work, and it wasn't just me either. The whole team, like. There was something about the team in Overwatch that wasn't clicking together, and it wasn't that they were like individually bad players, but it's such a team-based game that we didn't work as a team, right? So that didn't end up working out, and that made me look worse. And then I was sitting there like, okay, I really want to go back to college after Overwatch anyways.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go back to college, and then if I don't find a team soon, I'm just gonna like quit the game.
Yeah.
Because the direction the company is putting the game in, I was not a fan of. I didn't make Overwatch League when I theoretically should have made Overwatch League. And there's all these things that are making me say, maybe it's just time to like to throw in the cap. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess, what do you mean by direction? Like, what do you think? What are some of the things what are some of the things that you think are maybe the wrong call on Blizzard's part? So, there's a lot of things.
I think almost every patch I could point to something and say, this is really bad. Like, okay, Sigma, for example. Okay. That character was awful for the game. He made the game so boring. Like, it became double shield meta, where the main tank would play Orisa, the off tank would play Sigma. And instead of having a diva that has like a cooldown on how she can like eat stuff, right?
You just have this.
And then you'd have the shield war where she'd eat it and then it'd go down and then you have a chance to break the shield. Now you just have 2 shields, and you can't break 2 shields. It's impossible. So like, it just became really boring. The hero band thing that just came out the other day is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen in esport ever. Yeah, okay. Did you?
No, I did not see this.
Okay, so this actually might be the worst thing I've ever seen. So there's this thing called hero pools.
Okay.
And they're gonna do weekly rotations of heroes that are in the hero pool.
Okay. This sounds like Dota Underlords.
You can only pick the characters that are in the rotation.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, so
that's stupid.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. Imagine if like King's Rose is like available that week to play, and Reinhardt is not in the game, right? or Reinhardt and Orisa are in the game.
You're just
now
like,
you have to play Monkey on King's Row. Like that seems really weird. And I was talking to some of my friends. I'm like, what happens when you take Philadelphia Fusion, who has Carpe, right? Well, let's say like Washington Justice, who have Corey. They're some of the best Widow players in the league, and they're against one of the worst Widow teams in the league, right? And we're in a Widow meta, and they're in the finals of Overwatch League, and they paid all this money to get players that were really good at hit scan heroes, and then something like Widow, who's like super in meta, is rotated out just for finals. The other team has a huge advantage, right?
Yeah,
because of RNG, their team's like best characters are just not in the game right now.
I don't like the theory of like. It was something that I guess Epic said when they were making all these weird changes in Fortnite. They're like, we want everyone to have a chance to get a victory royale. I'm like, I understand the like moral niceness of that.
Yeah.
But leave that for the like pubs. Like leave that for casual Like when it comes to competitive stuff, there shouldn't be any chance that everyone gets a thing. It should be all down to like who is better.
Yeah.
There's that stupid saying, I guess, in Titanfall, now in Apex Legends, where the dude is like, yeah, if you I forget how he words it, but it's like, if you die, I'm better. if I die, you're better. Like, it's simple, but like, I feel like games should, at least in the competitive sphere, and I even take that into ranked in those games too.
Yeah.
Like anything where a person's progression is dependent on the victory of the match, like get all that random crap out of there. Like it's not necessary.
I agree.
That's wild. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's a big difference between this hero rotation and like a ban system. Yeah, because like a ban system you can plan around.
Sure.
Like, you can have a strategy. Like, when you play when you look at like league tournaments, there are times where they target ban a player, where they try to limit his hero pool. Right?
Any game that has it.
Yeah, that has a ban system, right? So, but you can plan around them target banning, and then you can also target ban a player on their team if you really feel like they have a weak hero pool. So there is like a push and pull, and both teams have an opportunity to do that if they wish, if that was their strategy going into the game. There is no strategy. It's just random. It's just
up to... I almost feel like it's not even random. I have a feeling that it won't be random.
But you know what's funny? I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was like, some of these like fans in Overwatch League are crazy. Like, I don't get it. Like I swear, like their vocabulary like consists of like Stan, like stupid Overwatch reused memes, like Winston Overwatch and like things like this. Like, I swear, and I can just imagine like a Houston fangirl or something somehow like infiltrating into Overwatch HQ. Hey, like back when like Jake was playing on the team, for example, and they're playing against like Philly. Hey, can you ban Widow this week? I really don't want to see Jake
sliding
on Widow.
Some cash across the table. Just like I have anytime a company who has especially if they have an interest in promoting, say, a new character like Echo. Like imagine a series of like rotations that never exclude Echo.
Yeah,
like it's like there's so many ways that can go wrong. That's a really bad idea.
I really hate it. I really But what you brought up earlier about the games making things like less competitive or making things easier, I think that a lot of companies are doing it, and I really dislike it. Like when I was first learning League in high school, is I just stopped playing from I was playing console games like Call of Duty, things like this, and then I played like MOBAs, and I was like, I don't know how to play these games, and I was learning them for the first time. I'd go like 0-10 in lane. Yeah. Like I'd have this idea that like I always need to fight the guy. I didn't care about creeps. I'd just go like walk at the guy.
Like, there's an enemy. I'm gonna go kill that guy.
Yeah, I was literally playing Warwick, walking at a ranged character with no ult. You know what I mean?
Dude's just like, what is he doing?
Yeah, I was insane, literally. But like I'd go 0-10, 0-10, 0-10, and then I finally got my like first kill, and I was like, I felt so accomplished. I was like, I did it, man. I did it.
That was me in Smite. I think the reason why I never really got into League was by the time it became something that somebody was introducing to me, it was way too late, and there was just way too many different things, too many different characters. Like I didn't know any of the items, and I still don't know all of the items. No. Like I don't play a lot of League.
Yeah.
My first MOBA I ever played was Heroes of New Earth. My brother forced me to play that, and because he was like super into it, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I kind of get where he's coming from with this. And when I was in college, we would both sit down and play that. Mm-hmm. But at some point, League came out and basically drastically cut the numbers of the player base for that game. Yeah. And so I was just like, oh, well, no one's playing this game. And didn't think at the time and go, well, just play that. And so I backed out of it. And I think Smite might have come around shortly after. Mm-hmm. And I played League, but not enough to like say, oh, well, this is something I want to play. But the appeal of Smite was like the whole third person thing, and I was like, "That's cool. Yeah. That's different. I'm gonna give that a shot." And I grinded that game, dude. Mm-hmm. Like I don't even want to think how much money I spent on that game. It's absurd. But I played a few like skirmishes with some pretty decent players, like back in the day when that game first had its first competitive like league. Mm-hmm. It's weird though. Even now, I've fallen off of that game and hopped onto a game that has even more RNG. I would say like Apex. Mm-hmm. But I always have this desire to go back and play that game because I know how...
That's how I am with League.
Yeah, skill intense it is. Like, I don't know. There was another game called Battle Right. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, I played it.
Dude, I'm so upset that game's dying. Like,
that game was fun.
Perfect. Like, it was so good. I don't know. The thing that I guess I fear is that game's dying was kind of to me going like, okay, do people just... Are companies now just afraid to make games like that like don't have like this huge RNG system, because that game, there was no RNG. Like
there was.
It was just team fights back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
and I love that. But I don't. There's nothing like that.
It was literally just a fighting game, but with MOBA.
Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. It was so good. I do you think a game like that is viable now, or?
I think that comes back to the whole idea that I was saying earlier about. I think that their one-dimensional games just will never come back. Like things like even things like Street Fighter or Smash. Like I think there's a reason why they're not that popular, and I think it's not because the games are bad.
Yeah.
I think it's the same way as CSGO. There are more people that watch CSGO than actually play the game. And,
sure.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that CSGO is one-dimensional, but I think there's this whole idea of like there's a ton of games that are not like appealing for a casual to play, and the gamer like community has become more casual. So I think those games are less popular. Things like Smash that take a lot of grinding of specific like button inputs that people just don't want to learn. Yeah,
that's honestly the same boat that I'm in. Like, I made the mistake of getting attached to Little Mac.
What's that?
For in Smash.
Oh, in Smash.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Is that his new character in Smash?
Kinda. Okay. He was in 4, but he was decent in 4, and he's horrific in Ultimate.
Okay. Because I just watched the Melee tournaments. That's it.
That's probably the best way to play Smash, honestly. Like 4 had its problems. Brawl had its problems. Like this game has a lot of problems. They implemented a character that has an RNG mechanic, which
that sounds
blows my mind. Is the hero from Dragon Quest? That the main hero from that story, from that series, he's a character in the game, and he has a mana bar, and he has, I don't know which input it is, or it's one of his B attacks, but when he does it, there's a chance it could just auto kill you, like auto kill his opponent. I'm just like, that's not good. Like, that's really bad. Don't do that. Like, it's bad enough. Like, and that's coming from somebody who plays Little Mac, who has a like KO punch button that like. If I take enough damage, I get to hit one button, block or not, like that. You're probably dying from that. So, but at least with him, it's a meter. It's like a special bar in like Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighter. But having to just be random is kind of wild to me.
That is wild.
Yeah, I probably should learn, like, pick up a system and get back into Melee. I imagine it would be a lot harder than.
Yeah, well, there's like the skill cap in that game is ridiculous, and that's the problem. I don't think people have the time to like to do that.
Yeah, and I guess
it's like young kids are the ones that have the time to do that, right? Like the people that are like literally in middle school, they come home that want to grind those things, but I don't think they want to grind those things anymore. They'd rather play Fortnite.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was the biggest problem I had with Overwatch's queue time system thing when they made the change to the roll queue was. Especially if I'm streaming, I do not have 10 minutes in between each of my games to wait to play damage. I like playing damage, and I think it's probably more entertaining to watch damage as for a streamer. So I would like to play that, but if I'm queuing by myself, I'm not gonna wait 10 minutes between rounds, like and try to entertain people for 10 minutes every time I'm like looking for a game. So it forces you to not play damage. Like right now. I don't even think I've done a single placement match for damage because I don't have time for that. I'm not going to sit there and wait.
It actually blows my mind though that you have to wait that long for a queue because you said you were in gold or plat.
I think I'm in silver right now.
In silver, yeah. You shouldn't have 10-15 minute queue times. That's crazy.
It literally says greater than 10 on the thing.
But that's crazy. That's crazy. Like I get 2-minute queues for support and. GM top 500.
Well, so
like that's so crazy.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
And we'll see the thing is too in that bracket, even like damage is 6 minutes in my bracket. Like if I were to queue damage in my skill bracket, I'd still, which is GM, I'd still get 6 minute queues. So that it makes no sense to me that at that rank it's hard.
Not that skewed towards the top. There's no way that game is that skewed that way. I'm sure that there are probably less people. No, there's got to be more people in bronze than there are in silver, right? Like it has to be skewed.
It's like a semi bell curve. So it goes up like, and then about platinum it starts going down, and then it goes even like it really levels out once you get to top 500.
I think
because GM is only 1% of the game.
Wow. That's crazy. I think I might take the time to try to get into platinum and see what happens. See what the queue time looks like from there. I just know it's because it's not solely up to me, which I think what they should do is implement a system that grades your rank off of you, not off of the win.
Well, it used to be like that.
Really? Okay.
It used to be like that, and people complained about it because, well, the thing is, it impacted supports and tanks more than it did DPS.
How so?
So, a support player, for example, let's say we're playing on Koth.
Okay.
And I can either protect my McCree from dying, and I kill myself, so I'll gain no stats except a death, which will make my stats worse.
Yeah.
Or I can let my McCree die, and I can save my stats in a team-based game. So I just let my McCree die, so I would lose less SR from losing the game.
I think the answer to that is not change the system, or get rid of that system, I should say. I think the answer to that is find a way to record the things that the support and tanks are doing.
It's impossible. Like, there are so many things that you can't record from a tank, or like from a DPS perspective. I totally understand why it makes sense, but from a support and tank, it's like impossible.
Something I was talking to my brother about, because he plays a lot of Ana when he does play, is your other support will be like, you didn't heal. I'm like, yeah, but they're never going to show you how much healing I denied. Like, that's not a thing that is tracked, like not visibly for like when you're playing the game. So I wonder if that's even factored in to
I don't think so,
which is wild. That's crazy. Like, there's so many. I think if you're going to add a mechanic like that to a character, you have to calculate that into that person's support score, I guess.
Well, okay, so take for example,
like, what kind of stuff do you think like that's totally not able to be tracked?
Okay, let's say we're playing goats meta.
Okay.
And I'm on a wall. There's like King's Row, right? And the other team is doing the same thing. They speed up my Rhine, and I'm like, let's go away. So I speed my team back, and I boop the Rhine back towards his team, right? You can't track that. It's impossible. There's no computer that would be able to tell you that was the right play, because it could still be objectively wrong depending on what your ultimates are. Maybe the right play was going into them and not caring. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something that a game could track and give you like a numerical value based off of. It
just sucks because the current system, it's not good.
It's not,
but it might be the best.
I think it's better than the alternative. Yeah. I think the better situation is making sure you can actually get into the games and banning people more for like poor behavior in ranked. Yeah, because that is a problem in Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Once they did that endorsement system, it was funny. The first time I played after that, it was the weirdest game of Overwatch I've ever played, because people were just like super overly polite, and I was just like, oh no, that's not what this is going to be now, is it? Like, God, this is really weird. I remember it was like there was a girl that was playing, and I remember one of the guys was like, oh, how are you today? And I was just like, No, I don't want this to be this way. This is not what I asked for. But oh god, it was so funny. And then like any time after that thing, like still to the early stages of when they implemented it, anytime anybody would say anything remotely, even borderline toxic, like you would just see people like, hey man, like no, don't be that way. Like, it was just so.
It's funny hearing your perspective, because like at high ranks, people play the game so much they don't care about the incentives of like loot boxes and stuff like that, because they already have all the skins. So when endorsements got like into the game for me, nothing happened. Legitimately nothing. People didn't even. I swear, people didn't use the system. Like, I'd occasionally get endorsements, and like once every like 20 games, and maybe I'd endorse somebody. But like for the most part, no one did anything, and at high ranks, like your endorsement level didn't pass 2 because no one endorsed you. So like the system for high level players like literally didn't exist. Like, it was just a number that didn't mean anything on your screen.
That's hilarious. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you're more concerned about the game, not about your social experience with the people that you're playing.
Yeah, because like you want the SR. So if you want this guy who's missing all his shots on Widow to get on like I don't know, May or something, you're just like, hey dude, you need to get on that character. They don't care if they're getting extra endorsement at the end of the game. They care about the SR at the end of the game.
That's funny. Yeah,
they want to rise the top 500 leaderboard.
So I guess not to get too into the politics, I guess, of it.
Oh boy.
We're going to. I think we both have the same opinion on the whole like thing that went down with Blizzard and Hearthstone and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you think? Did you ever see anything that like that happened with esports and Overwatch? I guess I wasn't. I don't really pay that much attention.
Yes and no, because like it didn't happen, but it could have happened. So when you sign agreements, and this isn't like me leaking anything. This is public. This is all public knowledge. When you sign agreements for Blizzard, and they did the same thing for Hearthstone. They have the same thing for Hearthstone they do for Overwatch and Contenders and Overwatch League. You are signing up to literally have Blizzard as your China. Like they are everything, right? They control your speech. If they don't like what you're saying, they can tell you to not do it. Like because you're signing this agreement, you're essentially waiving away your First Amendment right.
Sure.
Like they can tell you what you can and can't say, and if for whatever reason they think what you're saying is either like hateful or they maybe not disagree with it politically, or maybe China gets upset, they could easily just say, "Hey, man, you can't do that," or you're leaving.
Yeah,
you know? Like, it's very possible. When they accept people into Overwatch League, it's even worse because they go through a whole screening process to allow someone in. So someone like Defran, who's a really big name in Overwatch, he got banned for the first season, right? And then before season 2, he was unbanned, but we didn't actually know if he was going to be in season 2 because like these teams were trying to sign him, but they weren't giving any response. Like they weren't going through the screening process, so they thought maybe he was shadow banned by Blizzard or something. Like they're not very transparent with the things they do, and it's hard because everyone in like Contenders would know about this, and everyone leading up to season 1 of Overwatch League knew that we were going to go through screening processes. So it's almost like a deterrent from saying anything. Like just don't say anything in your safe. So everyone was so scared that if like your dream is getting an Overwatch League, don't be Blitzchung. Don't have an opinion. That's bad.
That's so sad, man. Like from one perspective, I understand why a company wants to protect its image, but there's got to be a better way. I think it was kind of like the whole YouTube ad thing when like you have a company who's essentially hosting a service, or they're hosting I guess the focal point of people's attention, and then you have people who are participating or partnered with them that do something that the host doesn't agree with. In my personal opinion, it's not the host's fault. It's not their responsibility to police that. It's like if you don't like what that person said or what they did, then as long as it's not illegal, like I don't think there's no action that I think needs to really be made.
Right. well, that also goes back into the Twitch arguments where people on Twitch would say that it's your responsibility as the host to police the people that are in your stream or going to another stream, which is crazy to me.
I remember reading that when the TOS changed, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
Like people from your stream could go to someone else's stream without you knowing. Say something,
some wild shit,
and now it's somehow on you. And it's like that sounds so crazy to me. Like
it's a mess. Like I don't know how. And I remember when Mixer became a thing, like a relevant thing, which technically was before the whole like Ninja thing. Like people talked about Mixer, people moved over to Mixer before then. But it was mostly because of like stuff like that. Yeah,
but it wasn't that big either. Like, it was like really small. Yeah,
very tiny. Yeah. Like Ninja definitely helped. I don't think anyone would dispute that. Like he bolstered their numbers a great deal. But I feel like part of the reason like people like PewDiePie going to like D-Live and stuff like that, it's just like people are trying to find alternatives, but there just isn't. There isn't one. So
it's just because they're not big enough. Because people are like, especially in the gaming community, I feel like we get so like entrenched in like one thing over and over and again that like you almost become used to it. Like when I type T in my bar like in the Google, like it automatically fills in Twitch for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go type in Mixer. Like, and that sounds so first world to me to say that because like, I don't use the website. And I'm not a Ninja fan either, so like I don't really have motivation to go there or find new streamers. You know what I mean?
I find that I would love to do one of these with a Ninja fan. I want to know what the appeal is. I've watched his stuff before, and I'm just kind of like,
I don't get it.
Yeah, I was just like, maybe it's not like it's obviously not for me.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just I was like, that's weird.
I remember when he was because I actually watched his stream before he got really big, and he was a leech off Dr. Disrespect in PUBG. So like he would duo occasionally, and he was really cringe. Like he used to do do these voices and all these like impersonations, and it was just really weird. It came off as like just not cool.
It's weird too because people are like, he's the poster boy of like streaming and stuff. I'm like, no. That's not it.
Well, in Dr. Disrespect's chat, they'd just be like, please don't play with Ninja again.
Yeah.
Please don't do it. Like, because they just hate him. And Dr. Disrespect's like, he'd have like 20K viewers playing PUBG, right? When he was like the biggest streamer before Shroud came up and Ninja. And then he'd play with Ninja, and I'm like, no, please don't play with Ninja, man.
I want to see if those are archived somewhere. I want to watch those.
You can find them, yeah.
Oh, dude.
I guarantee they're there.
That sounds hilarious. Because I'm a big fan of Dr. Disrespect. I think he's hilarious. Like in terms of like if I'm gonna go sit down and watch someone stream, he's in the at least top 10 people that I would sit down and watch. Which I say top 10. I probably only have 10 people followed on Twitch. I don't watch a lot of Twitch.
Same.
I stream myself, but that's and I found that's like the norm. Like most of the times if people stream, they don't really watch a lot of any because A, you don't have time to do it, and B, like there's something about watching another streamer as a streamer that's like it almost feels not genuine. Like you're like I hopped into I try not to say where I work often. People have already connected the dots already, but but I was in I'm a mod on that channel. Because the company has their own Twitch and they have a partner channel, whatever they do, like box openings and all that stuff. Yeah. So I was in there yesterday. I was just like sitting in my bed. I was like, oh, let me see who's on Twitch, and I see that they were streaming. I was like, oh, cool. Let me see what's going on. And Mark was doing like a box opening, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And I started typing in there, and then no bad intention. Like he did not do this with like malintent, but Mark's like, oh, Joe's here. Like, yo, dude, go check out Joe's channel. I'm like, like don't do that. like, please don't do that. And then like somebody else in chat, I guess, recognized who I was from the store, and I was like, oh no, this is the opposite of what I want. But it was just weird. Even like I have friends that stream on Mixer, and I'll go in there, and then it's like immediate. It's first thing is not like, hey man, how's it going? Like, how's your day or whatever. It's like, yo, this dude has a YouTube channel, and like, and I'm just like, I get you're doing it like to be nice, but like that's not why I'm here. I'm here to like not think about that. Like it's just I'm just wanting to be a viewer.
I do the same thing. Like when I would watch streams back when I played like Overwatch professionally, like I would hop in streams, and oftentimes I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, that's what I do now.
Some of my close friends, I'd type and say, hey, how's it going? But like most people, I wouldn't say anything, because then like people are like, oh, hey, Ajax joined the chat. Like, and then like I'd go into like contenders, like I'd watch a contenders game and from Overwatch's Twitch, and then I'd type in chat, and then like get like 20 ats like, hey, are you gonna do good in today's match, or why'd you lose today's match, or why'd you win today's match?
It's like, oh yeah, that's what I want to think about right now.
Yeah. Thanks.
I guess that can come across as like ungrateful, I guess, too. Like I get that it's coming from a good place. Yeah, it's just also very annoying. I remember I mentioned before we started recording, there was I had an older channel where we're pretty successful. Like it was really cool. We got invited to go to Atronicon one year, and we recorded a podcast there. We got to film some stuff. We got a whole bunch of like early access games like before they were out. It was cool. But I remember that was the first time I went to a convention and somebody recognized me from my channel. And it was this like maybe 14, 15-year-old kid. He comes up to myself and Neil, and he's like, hey man, I know who you guys are. And I'm like, oh cool, like awesome, like how you doing? And he's like, this is for you. And he hands us a pack of Power Rangers trading cards. We've never done anything Power Rangers related ever, and it was just super awkward. I don't know. That was the one and only time that something like that happened, and I was just like, "This is what it's like, I guess." Like, and this is very strange. I get it now. Like, Have you ever had anything like that happen?
So,
no.
So I had a really awkward one actually.
Oh boy.
It's happened a couple times, not that many times, but it has happened. I was over with an Overwatch League player and a streamer at Comic-Con in Orlando, and I was wearing a jersey. And
big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake. I was on Energy at the time.
Okay.
And another person was on Energy at the time named Siegel, and he was like really, really popular. Right.
Yeah.
So most people knew Siegel, not me, right? Because he's the big streamer. I was just like the main support. And like when I'd stream, I get like 100 viewers. When he'd stream, he'd get like 20,000 when games would first come out or whatever, Jesus. Right? So he's a huge streamer. And anyway, so I was at Comic-Con, and a couple people recognized me as Ajax, which was like, oh, that's really cool. That makes me feel good. Like I'm actually like doing something, right? And then there's this other guy who he had a Genji mask and a Genji blade that he bought there, right?
Cool.
And
plastic.
So he came up to me. No, the Genji blade was different. It wasn't like metal, but it wasn't plastic. It was it was something interesting. It was by one of the sword makers. They'd made something like custom. I don't know if it was like a wood or what it was.
Like
but
I would say carbon fiber or like some kind of other material.
It just was. I know it wasn't metal. But anyway, so he walks up to me. He's like, Siegel, because like, okay, so me and Siegel look very similar, and I had short hair at the time, and Siegel had short hair at the time. He's just a little bit taller than me, but like we look pretty similar. Like a lot of people like thought we were brothers.
Yeah, that's great.
And, which was a whole nother meme. But anyways, he comes up and he says Siegel, and I'm like, oh no. And he wanted a picture, and I was like sure, man, we can get a picture. I didn't know what to tell him. Like I didn't want to break his dreams, you know? Like this guy thought he was getting a picture of Siegel.
Oh no.
And so I was just like, sure, man, you can get your picture. And then I was like, all right, later.
That'd been great if like later on in the convention he comes back, he's like, you're not Siegel. He just like runs at you. It's like, oh shit.
It was the most awkward thing. I felt so uncomfortable the whole experience. And he shook my hand and then left, and I left. But like, I don't know. It felt.
That's true though. Like, what do? Like, you can't just be like, hey, that's not me. And then he's like, no, it's you. And like, especially if he insists, you're like, no, I get it, but it's not.
Yeah, because like literally, I had short hair at the time. We looked exactly alike. Exactly alike. So.
I might try to find a old picture of him and like put it side by side. Just be like, yeah, that's fair. Oh man, I don't know. I guess piggybacking off of what I was talking about before with the weird China politics in games.
Yeah.
I'm trying to phrase this in a way so I don't get fired. Like, do you see, I guess, I think that there's still tendrils of that think in some games now, like where, I don't know if you play like RPGs or anything like that outside of like like, I don't know if you remember the first trailer they showed for The Last of Us 2. I don't know if you saw that. There were a lot of memes around it because like, here you have this game about, you know about Last of Us, like
I'm aware of the game. I never played it. Yeah.
You have this game about like this apocalyptic like disease zombie fungus thing going on, and that trailer, the whole focal point of it was the fact that Ellie, I think is her name, which was the little girl who was growing up into.
Daughter.
Yeah. She's at least bi, I think.
Okay.
But the trailer was literally a camera surrounding her while she's making out with some other girl. Like, that was it. And people went nuts because they were just like, what is this game? Like, what exactly is, like, what are we doing here? Yeah. And I think I've done a good job of, like, I used to be like super entrenched in that like whole debate and like about like the social politics in games and whatnot. But after a while I realized, I was like, this is not fun. Like, this is just really, it's mentally taxing on me.
It is.
But I also played a lot of like PvP games, so you don't, that almost never happens there. But now I've started making the effort to play a lot of indie games, and I'm seeing that more now again, and I'm just like, I wonder if this will ever leach its way into PvP stuff, or if you've seen that leach its way into PvP stuff yet.
I think I'm not. Okay, so if you're talking about the social politics of the trailer itself, I think the social politics have leached into everything in games. Like, the whole idea that it's like this character. Now, I didn't play the game, so I don't know. but like
there's hints at it in DLC from the first one, so like it's not out of the blue.
And it's build up. The thing that I have a problem with it is when it's out of the blue, because like I think making a character like, you know, woke, or having a character being some like form of like a diversity quota is a bad thing. Like
it generally ends up being received as bad too.
Right, and I think it's almost it's disingenuous, and it's almost insulting to the people who are of that group. Like they should be building up to it as like an actual plot point. Like if, like, for example, if this person's gay and that's like the plot point of the story and it's really important, then it's really important to talk about it all the time, or for you to be reminded of it, right? But if it doesn't really have like any sense of the story, then it doesn't matter. Like, for example, if you said her name's Ellie,
I think it is.
Like
Ellie.
If it hints at it, and then at some point in the second game there's this girl that she likes and she ends up kissing her, and then that's it. Then okay, it's like whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? But if the whole trailer is just like circling around them kissing, it's like, well, what does that mean?
Like,
you know what I mean?
There were I don't want to be too disingenuous, but like there were points that like they cut away from. So the whole point was, I'm actually gonna blow my nose real quick first.
You're good.
That would be gross. And I also don't think this has been recorded. Not necessary. It just is a backup.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
You're good.
There were parts in the trailer where like the camera would basically pan around the two of them, and then whenever it would cross behind one of their heads, the background would change, and when the background would change, the camera would go past it, and then it'd be into a small cutscene of the game, and it'd come back around, and then when it came back around, it was just back out to them making out, and then it would just kind of linger there, and then it would do that. I think it did like 3 times.
Yeah, that's so strange.
It is a strange idea for a trailer. I'll give them credit. Like the camera thing is unique. Like the way they shot it was really cool. I was like, yeah, that's cool. But for a game that you spend 90% of the time shooting like zombies and like these weird fungal like things, like that's not. Like that's. I
mean, even if they were straight, it would still be weird. Like
it had nothing to do with.
And she was like making out with some random dude. Like
that would be weird.
It would still be weird. Like it wouldn't matter. Like. It's the same thing with Overwatch too. Like they've come out and they've made like so many. They've made so many characters. Like so like Symmetra is now like either has some sort of like autism. Just somewhere on that spectrum. And then Tracer's a lesbian. Reaper and Soldier are both gay, even though one of them was married, and they had like some. Yeah, Reaper and Soldier apparently had.
I knew Soldier.
It's like it was a hinted relationship that Reaper and Soldier had like something for each other, even though they were like Soldier or Reaper was married. I don't remember. And it was like the strangest thing. It's like these things were out of nowhere. Yeah, they have nothing really to do with the story. They're just like, because Overwatch, they did this thing where like we'll release the story later, so we can kind of change it.
We can just cheat.
And it was just like, it feels so disingenuous to the people that are of these communities that we're just like, hey, by the way, Tracer's lesbian. Here's a comic where she makes out this girl for Christmas. And it's like, okay.
I was like, sure. Did our abilities change? No. All right, cool. Like I definitely remember that in the whole Soldier thing, because I remember I used to play a lot of Soldier, and the first time I played after they released that little like animation short was literally everyone in chat was like, he's gay, he's gay, he's gay, and it was funny, but like also like I was just like, yeah, he is. That's fine. Like, I don't know. I hate when it's like shoehorned. There was an RPG called The Outer Worlds. It was from the people that made like Fallout New Vegas.
Sounds very familiar.
It's pretty recent. I think they did the best job I've seen in a long time of introducing a character like that, because there's a mechanic that you find, and she, I guess, is bi, because she does have a romance romantic, I guess, storyline with you, the character, regardless of what sex you choose.
Yeah.
But there's a story arc that you can follow where she's interested in this other mechanic that you find later on, and it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It's very like subtle, and it feels like it makes sense for the character. And I remember going through that, and I was streaming it, and I was like, this right here, this is it. This is how you do it. Like, like for every, I was like, I think I remember saying something to them. I was like, if there are any indie developers watching it, this is how you like make a character like that. You don't just like ham fist them in there.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's the same way for you to write a book. Like, I know like games that have books that go along with them. Where like
Witcher,
like Witcher, for example. Like, if that was in the book and part of the story, that's great. But if you're gonna write like a 10-page comic with like minimal effort and just say, "Hey, yeah, this character's supposed to be," and it's like,
and that's like the focal point of the comic.
Yeah, and that's the whole. That's the only part of the comic that matters at all. Nothing else is relevant. It's like, man, come on, like, you can do.
We can do better.
You can do better. Yeah, because like I think it's great that they're like we live now in a society where everyone can be whatever they want. And everyone's okay with it, right?
Yeah,
like. Obviously, there's still groups that have their struggles, and
nobody starts on the same starting point.
Yeah,
but,
I
like
agree.
People have like
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that we're in a society where we do recognize that, and that we try to help out those groups, and we make sure that they don't feel like marginalized in all these things. It's just when you're just trying to like score woke points or just like that's not going to help them. That's not how you help.
I feel like it does. It makes it worse because the people that you would, man, this is gonna get real. Like
we're going.
So this is I had this conversation with somebody about the whole Bernie Sanders Joe Rogan endorsement thing. I don't know if you've heard about that at all.
I heard something about it, but I'm not aware of it completely.
Basically, Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders, and then a whole bunch of people from the left were like, Joe Rogan said this stuff about trans people. He said this stuff about like gay people and all this stuff. And I was just like, do you want to win or not? Because I understand like the interest is not necessarily in winning or losing, but it's in more so of like who has the better policies. But I use that as a metaphor of like, if you're trying to bring the people who disagree with you over to the side that you want them to be on, or you want them to agree with you.
Yeah.
It's called compromise. Like you're not gonna just do it by like saying, oh, well, this character is gay. What is that? You said something negative about that? Ban for like just ban their account. It's just 100%. Like it's wild. I hate that mindset.
Well, I mean, again, politics, but I think that's actually a big problem with our society now is that we're going towards this whole idea of like, if you have one opinion that's different from me, it's just like, no, you can't say that.
You don't deserve to have a job.
You get out of my face. Money. You can't be my friend. I can't ever see you again. It's just like, there are going to be things that you disagree with someone on. It's inevitable. And it's just like, you can try to convince them. And if you can't, you can't. But like, it's all about compromise. Like, I don't think that our government compromises anymore. It's not about like, like when you hear about votes, especially around like the impeachment stuff or like the things that have happened in the past, it's just like party line votes. There's no longer, there was 20 Democrats that voted this way or 20 Republicans that voted this way.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, which one or two people flipped? You know what I mean? It's just like who strayed from the party lines. It's no longer an opinion or a policy, and it's terrible.
That's sad.
It's like that Democrat that didn't want to, who voted against impeachment, and the DNC was like, hey, if you vote against this in the House, we will primary someone against you and make you lose and give you no money. And then he switched to becoming a Republican, and that's just like, well, one, you're not a Republican.
Yeah. Like,
you're just doing that
so you don't like lose your job. Essentially,
yeah, you're doing that to score points with the Republicans, so people will vote for you. And two, the Democrats who told him that are disgusting. It's like both sides of the aisle are disgusting for that, and it's just like, it's like, bro, like, come on.
It's weird because there's moments that like I didn't know that happened, but like there's moments where I kind of go and I was like, okay, I think things are getting better. I think people are getting a little bit more nuanced and. They're okay with that, and then I hear moments like that and I'm just like, oh no, like no they're not. Or at least maybe it's the people who are isolated with people who think exactly like them,
the echo chamber people.
and I think the more common person doesn't behave that way.
I agree.
I think I had the mindset because like I was deep in the weeds, man. Like I was like following the whole like Jordan Peterson thing. I was following like all that stuff. And when I thought, oh man, this like people are nuts. Like people are actually insane. I don't understand why. And then after I started doing this and like just generally talking with people a little bit more, you're just like, oh, okay, we're gonna be fine. Like people, the normal person, like they don't care about that stuff. Like that's not. Now the dangerous thing I think is they don't care about it, but they should be paying attention because there's things that happen if they don't pay attention that are not good. Like they're for the overall negative. So, but it's weird to get to balance that line. I don't know where you draw the line because, like I said before, that stuff is mentally exhausting. Like it's not healthy for you to like be that like focused on that kind of thing.
There's studies that show that people that watch the news are more unhappy than people that don't watch the news.
To be. Like, I would challenge anybody to think of how many positive stories you see on the news.
It's not many.
There's like 2 like per day maybe. It's everything is just like. Even good things are like spun to be like, but what does this mean for blah blah blah? And it's just like, but can we just be happy for a second? Like,
I 100% agree, and it happens on both sides of the aisle. They do it to each other. Like Fox News is leaning right, and then you have CNN, MSNBC that lean left, and they both like even when the other side does something good, they're they refuse to admit it. And it's just like there's this YouTuber I like watching. He's like a very middle ground-esque person. His name's Tim Pool. I really like him, and he's like, listen, can't we just congratulate people that we don't agree with when they do something we agree with? Like, and I'm just like, that's like the most like sensible thing I've heard all week, man. It's like.
I made a point to, and I think I maybe watched them like I don't know how many times I did, but I sat down and watched them over and over and over. The both the interview he did with Joe Rogan and the interview he had with Jack Dorsey and the other lady from Twitter. But it was both of them were hosted on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know if you ever saw those episodes.
I saw part of it.
Yeah, those are very interesting because you kind of get to see someone who's truly in an echo chamber and then like be confronted with like, hey, but wait, you're trying to gloss over this thing that you did that's really bad. And I don't know, that's it. But I feel like if it were too like, if you compare Tim's and Joe's episode to Tim, Joe, Jack, and the other lady, I can't remember her name. It's super weird because even the stuff that Joe and Tim disagreed on, it was just kind of like at the end of the day, it was like, all right, well, cool. But at the end of the other one, it was just like, you fucks. Like there was no like, they didn't make even an attempt to find a common ground. It was just like, well, we want to do this. And the thing also I thought was really funny about that one was they almost never wanted to say, yes, we do this thing like that you're saying that we do. They would say it in the most roundabout way. Right. It's just, I don't know.
Right, because they want to prove that they're right and that's it. That's the only intention is. And I think that is the wrong mentality. I think people that go into the idea that they want to learn from somebody else who they don't agree with are the people that are like the most educated. Yep. Because sometimes they'll admit that they're wrong. Yeah. The average person is going to admit they're wrong. Some politicians aren't going to admit they're wrong, but the average person will admit when
because they don't have anything to lose. Like their values, I guess, will be adjusted, but monetary wise, like they have nothing to lose. A politician that's their life. Like their livelihood is based off of their vocal opinions. What they actually think is a totally different story.
Which is another problem in itself.
Like there's a lot of positions I think that shouldn't be monetarily supported, or at least not directly. Like the term career politician is wild. That shouldn't be a thing. That's crazy. I think that same thing goes for like a lot of government like positions, I guess. It's like, okay, if the goal is to provide this service or to make sure that this unfortunate circumstance of like capitalism or whatever doesn't happen, let's make sure that doesn't happen. But there's no reason for this person to have a job based around that. Like, it's, I don't know. There's stuff like that I always think about.
Well, what's crazy is I think people agree with each other a lot more than they realize, too.
Oh, yeah.
They just come to slightly different conclusions. Like, for example, I think if you put 100 Republicans and 100 Democrats in a room and said, would you be for term limits in Congress? I don't think they would disagree. You know what I mean? But it's probably never going to get voted on in Congress because no one in Congress is going to ever vote for term limits because...
Like, I want to make less money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So
I don't know how you fix a system like that, though. Like, I remember people were like, oh, get rid of the... what was it people were shouting about? The electoral colleges. Yeah. And...
people have been shouting that for a couple years.
Yeah, it's just like... Sure, that might end up being good. I'm not well researched enough to like have a strong opinion on that, but it definitely is a little weird when a state votes one way, but the college votes the opposite just because they can. Yeah. So I don't know, but we've gotten way off of video games. We have. That's fine. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think I was telling you before, like how. At this point, I can recognize it's my fault. It always ends up spinning that way. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because politics have interjected themselves so much into the media, like the media of like video games these days, that it's almost impossible not to talk about it. Like things like Blitzchung and things like the trailer that you're talking about. Like, it's really hard not to talk about some level of politics in video games, which is kind of sad these days.
I think it's sad, but it's also. It can be good because, like I was saying before, there are some people that like don't think about it. Like people will say in 2020 or at least in 2016 how bad things were, or like this guy won and all that stuff. I'm like, yes, but look at all the people who otherwise wouldn't have paid attention to this at all, who are now paying attention, which is cool. Yeah. Like I think that's. If nothing else good comes from like what the past 4 years, I think that's really good.
I think there's more people, Republicans and Democrats, that are paying attention now to like politics than ever before.
I wish that some of them would be a little bit wiser when it comes to video games, because I still hear the same crap about video games now that I like the whole like violent video game nonsense. I don't know if you heard that whole rhetoric. Like it's wild to me that that's still something that's talked about.
It's actually sad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like
it's really sad.
It's like every time, like it almost is like every 4 years, like someone brings it up, and I'm just like, what? We fixed this.
I thought we established this. You know,
like, why are we still talking about this?
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know. It is strange too, though, because like as an art form, there's a lot of different ways that video games can be used, but I think it'd also be unfair to say that there are some games that aren't great, like or at least hint at what they complain about.
Right.
Like there was a game, it's not on Steam anymore. I wonder if I can buy it now. You also can't stream it. They specifically barred people from streaming it on Twitch.
Really?
Yeah. It's called Hatred, I think, or just Hate, I think. It's literally the premise of the game is a guy who it's Postal. It's literally Postal. I don't know if you remember that. So Postal was just a game where a dude who worked for the Postal Service got pissed and just goes on a killing spree. Okay. And that's the premise of the game. But like, it's so outlandish, like to the point where you can pee on people. Like it's just a weird game. It's crazy. Like it's a crazy game. But Hatred is it's a little bit more grounded, where it's the most stereotypical like loner dude you can find. Long black hair, black trench coat, like, and it has like this isometric kind of camera angle, and it's the similar
premise.
Yeah, he's just going around shooting people, but it's like he'll go to like a cul-de-sac or whatever, and like he'll just go through people's houses, just like mowing people down. And when it was made, there was a lot of controversy about, hey, is it going to be on Steam Store? What does that say that Valve thinks about this kind of stuff? And ultimately, Valve took it off of their Steam or Alpha Steam, and then people still made videos for it on YouTube, but there's not a lot of them. But I remember Twitch specifically making a point like, this game is not allowed like on Twitch, and I was like, wow, interesting. This is the first time that we get to a point where it's like
Yeah.
This is bad, but the one level in Modern Warfare 2 is okay. I can stream that on Twitch. Like, it's like, not saying that these things are good or trying to like endorse them. It's just more of like
double standards.
Yeah, and also it's like at the end of the day, it is still a video game. It's not real. Like if someone made an FMV game where they were literally going like the video like of someone shooting a bunch of people, then we got a debate there.
Yeah.
Because actual people are being hurt, but like I don't think that that's the right call. I would prefer that things are more open ended, and I guess people get to decide what kind of stuff. Like, if people don't like it, they won't buy it, right? Like, if somebody makes a game like that and it's bad, and it's just obviously there's no artistic value in it whatsoever, no one's gonna buy it. Like,
right.
But I think Hatred was weird for me. I didn't pick it up, but I wanted to when it was coming out, just because I wanted to try the game out. But I think it was still a game.
Yeah, it's
like
a game. Yeah.
So.
That's interesting because I actually don't know how I feel about that because like the Modern Warfare 2, like it's like whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But that sounds very like I don't want to say it could inspire somebody,
sure,
but I could totally see how someone could use that as an outlet to get their frustrations out as well. So that's a really tough one because I actually don't know how I feel about it because I'm very much of the camp that video games doesn't cause violence. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah. But I think that if you have a game specifically that is about getting your violence off on other people, and that's the only premise of the game. Like, there's no story. There's no like it's not like what's that movie? The Purge. It's not like The Purge, or someone's like or whatever, right? Like if The Purge was a game, there's like a premise that the government has done this, but this sounds like it's a game that's like you're just a regular person. Nothing is around you. You're just going and killing people, and it's like I don't think that would do anything.
The story, is like he's just really been crapped on his entire life. Like there's just like they give him a motivation to do this stuff and explain it, but very quickly the game just becomes you just killing a whole bunch of people, like innocent people. So if there's, I guess you're right, there's multiple ways to look at it. Like if the way I see something like that is twofold. I agree with you, it could motivate somebody to do something like that, which would be terrible, but it could also give a person insight into why somebody would do something like that and help prevent it.
You could help learn from it,
right? So like there's the whole campaign of like or I guess people that say, oh well, like there's actually another game that reminded me, there was a game called Active Shooter, and it was literally just it was a multiplayer game, which that was kind of how they started getting around the whole thing with Twitch or with Steam. It was a multiplayer game where it was you who was either the active shooter or students in a school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like it was like some Evolve. I didn't even know that game Evolve.
Oh yeah, I know Evolve.
Yeah, it was basically that, but instead of a monster, you were a kid in a school with a gun,
and the other people. Officers.
Yeah, like there were 3 roles. It was the shooter, the students, and the police officers, and you could fill, like, it was a multiplayer match.
Wow.
Yeah, like where you would fill one of those roles, and obviously the goal of the students is to get out alive, the shooters to kill as many people as possible, and the police are to protect as many of the students as possible and kill the shooter. So like when I first saw that, I was like, yeah, this is bad.
Yeah,
but that premise of a game is interesting, I guess.
Yeah, it actually kind of is.
Yeah, like I would like if it was I think it did actually, it is out. It's just not on Steam because Valve kicked it out. But I would want to play something like that just because of the premise. Also because I really liked Evolve. I thought Evolve was a great game.
Evolve was a good game. Evolve was a good game.
I don't know. They little stuff like that always is like
it's a really hard question that I don't have the answer to, because it's like I don't think that video games causes violence, but then when you get really close, you're tipping the line. It's just like I want to say yes, and I also want to say no. It's really hard for me to have an answer to that.
I mean, I guess other countries just flat out banned those games from releasing,
right?
Which not saying that this is a solution to that, but it is interesting if you were to look at companies or countries and see what games they allow, what games they censor, what games they don't allow at all. Like, maybe that's the route to go. Like, if you can do it, you got to have somebody making that call who's in like the gaming atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you could have somebody like Trump or Biden that ends up in that office, and then they have the job of like deciding what games are good for the country, and it's just like, oh, Slime Rancher? No, that's too violent. We can't have that. And it's just like, all right, like
I think Trump did say at one point that he like semi-suggested that video games could cause violence, and I was like,
it's like, you idiot.
Oh
like,
man, dude.
I think it was both of them, actually. I think
Trump, Biden did it too.
Yeah, I think both of them did.
Wow.
And I was just like, you idiots. Like, but yeah, I hope that at one point we don't have to talk about this, but
I hope so,
at the same time, when games like that are made, maybe we should. I don't know.
It sucks too, because like every time there's a school shooting or some like really bad event, it's always like first thing video games. Like someone has to mention it. Like like and I'm gonna say boomer. Some like boomer comes on the TV, and it's like, yeah, they're like 70, 80 years old. Their hair's falling out, and they're just like, man, video games are causing less fuss. I'm like, no, man.
It's like, have you played a video game? Have you? Just one. Just any of them. Like, pick one. Here's an Xbox controller. Like, just like try it. Like,
play Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like,
literally. And the thing is, I would even suggest something like that. I'd be like, play Call of Duty. You play Call of Duty. I'll even give you Modern Warfare 2. Play that, and you tell me, like, if after this you're like, yeah, I think I want to buy a gun and like go and shoot a whole bunch of people. It's like, no, you want a prestige and get like some golden camo or something. Like, it's not. I don't know. I recently, when the new Call of Duty came out, I picked it up because I was feeling that whole nostalgia. I was like, I want to get back into Modern Warfare. I had so much fun with 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And then I got this one, and I was like, hey, this is kind of like that. And then, like, not even a week in, they're like, Battle Pass. And I was like, oh, damn it. Like, they got me. They got my $60.
Hey, they baited you, man. They baited you.
God, I was so upset. I guess, real quick, the monetization, I guess, of games. I do want to talk to you about that.
This is a good topic.
Yeah.
This is a good topic.
So there's a long time ago, one of the first videos on my channel, I tried to figure out. I went it with the theory of, I thought that games got more expensive to make throughout the years, which is technically true. It's not that they're more expensive to make; they're actually more expensive to market. That's the problem.
Fair, yeah, that's true. That's
so.
True.
But I looked into this, and I was like, my hypothesis is that because things have gotten more expensive, companies are trying to find a way to make up that difference without raising the price of the $60 like average game. Turned out that it wasn't the cost, like it was the marketing, but a lot of companies lump that together when they talk about the cost of a game.
Yeah.
The marketing is just considered also in the cost of making the game. So it's weird. I don't hate loot boxes. I think loot boxes are a fine thing for companies to do. It's super easy to ruin a game with them. So I think if a company's going to do it, they have to do it right.
100%.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on like?
I mean,
loot boxes and whatnot?
I think Overwatch's loot boxes are the best way to do loot boxes. They're purely cosmetic. They have nothing to do with gameplay.
Yeah.
Star Wars. That is how you don't do loot boxes. That's how you don't do loot boxes. And I don't even mind games like League that make you buy characters with in-game currency, because like you can still play a character that's equally as good. They just do things differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think loot boxes and those things like should be cosmetic. I think the way you get your money is through cosmetics. If someone really likes your game, they will buy a skin for it. You know what I mean? Like I buy skins. I mean, I don't do it. I haven't done it actually recently, but like for Christmas, I got there was this legendary skin that came out for a hero that my girlfriend likes in League. So I was like, I'll gift her this skin,
easy.
right? So And I think that's great because there's no like gameplay advantage to having a skin. It's just cosmetic. And I think the second games go into, well, like you want to play Ultimate Team in FIFA or Madden. Yeah, this card it's gonna cost you a bit of money. You know what I mean? Like,
and there's no way to just buy the card. That's the other thing. It's like you have to do the RNG game in order to like get it.
It's terrible. Like, because if you queue up for like Ultimate Team, right, and you're just like you have like bronze or silver cards or whatever that you just started playing, and your opponent's like spent like $100-$200 on the first day on like FIFA credits or Mana credits or whatever it is, and they have like this whole gold team or Player of the Week or whatever, and you're just like, yeah, nice. This no is way I can win
like at all.
Yeah, there were times where I'd play because I loved FIFA. I didn't really play Madden, but I had friends that played Madden. And
FIFA's like the only sports game that I like tolerate.
FIFA?
Yeah, FIFA and like I guess.
Okay, so you know MMA. Cristiano Ronaldo, right? And Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
So like I'm playing, and then my opponent's got Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm just like, I actually can't keep up with Cristiano. My guys are too slow. Like, I don't have the stats of these players to keep up. And it's not even just like a I'm better than this guy thing. It's just like his player is faster. So like, I don't know. I can't stand that stuff. I really can't.
It's weird. Like I guess Apex has the exact same way. It's just their price point is astronomically higher than Blizzard's.
What, for loot boxes?
Yeah,
but it's just cosmetic though.
It is just cosmetic, but it is expensive. Like I was going to just be like, all right, screw it. I'm just gonna play the game and not worry about it. Until I realized that the Battle Pass thing is included with the EA Premium Access thing, which I got just to play the new Star Wars game. But have since not canceled it because I played Apex and I was like, I guess I'll pay $15 a month to get this extra stuff. But like, I think it's literally 100 coins is $1, and there are weapon skins that cost like 1,200, 2,400 coins just a skin, and I'm just like, that's not even remotely close to any other like structure of any other game. I think the other game that copied that similar, or there are two that copied that similar like currency for dollar ratio were Fallout 76 and Call of Duty. It's like that; those are not the people you want to be copying. No, like it's like don't do that. Like, but ultimately, like you said, it's palatable because it's just cosmetic stuff. So far, there was one thing that people were kind of upset about with them. They have these things called heirlooms.
Oh
which,
yeah.
You saw
I'm aware of heirlooms.
That was. Oh, yeah, you play Apex. Yeah, there was that whole thing with whose was it with the axe? It was Bloodhounds. Bloodhounds melee with an axe, but the axe ended up costing you like $300 something in order to get it, and people were just like, "Yeah, no."
I had a friend who opened $1,000 worth of those crates for heirlooms.
Why?
Yeah,
If you get it, great, awesome, but
it's like. I love skins, but man, I'm not spending $1,000 for an heirloom, man. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's.
I think $15 for a skin is already pushing it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy amount.
It's weird too because if I think back on like Smite, I spent close to $2,000 on that game, but this is over like alpha. Into like
that makes me feel better. Like my league account, I played on for like 4 or 5 years before I started playing again after Overwatch, and I spent $1,300 in that game. So that makes me feel a bit
better. You were conservative. There was, and they started doing things too where like this is so bad. Thinking back on it now, it's very scummy for them to do this. But have you ever played Smite?
Yeah.
You know Ymir, the little ice giant guy.
No.
Okay,
I've only played a couple games of Smite.
Okay, he's a tank. He's like he was the poster child of Smite for a long time. So they launched it on PC. If you played during the beta, you got this really cool skin where he's like this demon instead of like an ice thing. I was like, this is dope, and I got that. And I was like, my account's probably worth something now. And then you had to have bought the All Champion Pass thing before the game came out. So you had to buy it during beta and you get that skin. Then they launched on Xbox and did the same thing, where it was like, if you have the game on Xbox and buy the pass on Xbox, we'll give you another Ymir skin. Then they did it on PS4. Then they did it for the launch of Mixer. Then they did, and they just kept doing that. And I was just like, wait a minute, like you guys are just mising $25 out of people every time you release the game anywhere.
Yeah, that sounds like the infinite amount of Skyrim releases.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Oh man, I stopped after the PS4 one. I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not intending on selling my account anytime soon. And B, even if I did, I think at this point there's so many exclusive skins that my account's probably not worth anything.
Yeah, there's so many, there are so many exclusive skins these days for games. They really they were like, wow, these really bait players into spending money, and then it's like, yeah, let's keep doing it.
I guess to round the whole like monetization thing, do you think companies could sell games at $70 at this point and people would still buy it?
I think a lot of people would still buy it. I think they should be lowering the price of games.
Really?
Because they make so much money
on
off
the back end.
Because I mean, you see games like Fortnite, League of Legends, Apex Legends.
Sure.
All these games, they are the gaming industry. Like, they're the biggest money makers in the gaming industry, and they're all free.
Yeah.
All of them are free. Like, I don't get why people still think the $60 model works, because it doesn't.
I think it only works with RPGs. I
agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I also have a, I guess, controversial opinion when it comes to RPGs, single player RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should be allowed to stream those.
Really?
Yeah. Especially like games like I don't know if you remember Firewatch. Like any RPG where it has a very linear storyline, I don't think you should be allowed to stream those, because many a times I've seen games I'm like, that looks cool, and I hop into somebody's stream and they're playing through it. I'm just like, I got it. I'm not buying this game. Like, there's no reason for me to buy it.
I was curious about what you thought about that, because like there are games I've literally watched playthroughs of because I didn't want to buy the game, so I just watched the game.
And I understand. I think that you should still be able to do reviews of them. Like review outlets should still get copies and be able to do reviews of them to give people some kind of I guess someone's opinion of the game before you buy it, some way to make a smart purchase. But I don't think that's fair to the companies. Like, if they're selling a game and people can just watch it, essentially, like the Telltale games, I've never bought one of those because I've never had to. Like,
what about the people that don't have the time to play the game and they watch the game, like, 15 minutes before they sleep, they'll watch like a YouTube playthrough, right?
Sure.
Because like I know, for example, like my sister, she goes to Baylor in Texas, and
it's my brother. It's fine.
Essentially, she watches a lot of playthroughs of like games because she doesn't own a console over there. So she's like, I can't play it over here, so I'm just gonna watch someone else play it. So that is like how she gets her like fix in, essentially.
Maybe I don't know. It just seems really bad for those developers. I don't know. I don't know what the.
It's tough.
Maybe you don't stop them from streaming. I don't know how you fix it though. Life is Strange was the one that I was like, I'm not buying this.
There's
like,
the Detroit Becomes Human one.
That one too, yeah. Love it. Great game.
Yeah.
I think
I didn't play it though.
Yeah, neither did I.
I think it's a great game.
I watched so many people play it. I watched PewDiePie play it. I watched Funhouse play it. I watched so many people play that game, and I was just like, yeah, I got it. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the solution to that is then.
I don't know either, because like I think it's great that people who can't either A, they can't afford it, or B, they just can't play the game. I think it's great that they can get the experience, but they're getting it for free.
Yeah.
And these other people are making money off of it.
What if they, because like all the people that I just mentioned, they have paid versions of their media. What if there has to be a paywall for those games? It doesn't need to be a huge one. Like, take for instance the thing on YouTube. They have like the, what's it called, join button, where you can, it's basically a subscription like Twitch, but on YouTube. You could do that, and if you use that game, some of that money goes to developers. I don't know, that may get too messy, but I don't know.
It could be, but I totally get what you're saying because like there should be a way for the it's kind of like the used game thing at GameStop where the developer doesn't get the money off the used game, which is a problem.
It's wild that they got away with that. Well, I say got away with that because GameStop is definitely on the downward tilt. But
they definitely are. Yeah. So it's hard because I almost want to say just make a streamer like cut out some of the revenue from playing that game and send it over for just that kind of genre. But then it's just like, but then you're cutting out money from an independent developer to send to a corporation. It's like, like
that's very gray.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to shout out or anything like that, or you? I remember you were talking to someone. You're like, I don't stream anymore.
No, I really don't stream anymore because I'm not. It's not that I dislike Twitch or anything. It's just like there's a lot of reasons, a lot of personal reasons.
It's also a lot of time.
Streaming. It has been.
The part of the reason I stopped doing it for so long was I just really felt disheartened. Like there was the whole. This is going up on YouTube, so I don't have to really worry about Twitch doing anything. But like the whole Twitch thoughts thing that was like both a meme, but I could see people's complaints. Like I understood why.
I can't believe Alinity is still allowed on that platform.
Like it's gotten to the point now where I'm like, I believe it. I just think it's so wrong. Like it's crazy. Like I think that same thing would be allotted to any like Dr. Disrespect. Like he has not done nearly as many bad things as she has. Yeah. But he could do those things, and I think he would also get the exact same treatment.
Right.
Not because he's a guy or she's a girl, but because of how much money they bring into the company. Right. It would be like them chopping off their arm. Yeah. Like I get that. Yeah. So not to say that it's excusable, but it is understandable, I guess.
You understand their reasoning.
Yeah.
Because like I have a friend who he's a tier 2 playing Overwatch, and he is a streamer, and that's his only, because he's not signed to a team that pays him.
Okay.
So he plays for a team in contenders that doesn't pay him. So his only income is streaming. And he was on his stream and he alt-tabbed, and there was something on his browser that was not supposed to be there while he was streaming, right? He got banned, and they wouldn't tell. Well, I mean, he knows why, but they wouldn't give him any communication for months. He got banned for about like 3 or 4 months.
Jesus.
And that was his only form of income.
3 months?
Yeah. And it was like, essentially it was a permanent ban where they didn't tell him anything. Yeah. And then they finally just like randomly unbanned him one day. And it's just like, there was no like communication whatsoever. It was completely random. And it's just like, what do you do? Like, that's like, it's so unstable, you know?
Yeah. I think that was the initial goal of mine when I first started streaming. I bought a Restream account, and I would stream to Mixer, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I streamed it everywhere I could because my mindset was, A, I'm starting off small. Nobody knows who I am. Yeah. So the more eyeballs on my stuff, the better. And 2, I don't want to ever be tied down to one place, because the old channel that I had that was partnered, that's cool and all. But I remember the day that we got affiliate, and I remember the moment where they were like, I read the thing and it was like, you can't stream anywhere else. You have to only stream here. Yeah. Also, like, you don't get paid until you make $100. Yep. Which I was just like, what? Like, you give me the donations. Like, just send me the money. Like, as for a small streamer, I was just like, this is stupid. Like, I don't like this system at all.
It's bad.
Where Amazon basically has all of the control in that interaction, that relationship between the streamer and themselves. So, I don't like it, but I don't like that side of streaming. But I do like the interaction from streaming, and
I love Twitch chat, man.
Yeah, Twitch chat's the best.
Dude. It's so funny.
XQC's chat. Oh, dude, that guy has the best chat.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's too good.
I've been subbed in for about 2.5 years.
It's so good. Yeah. He's probably like my favorite streamer and like YouTuber. Like
it's funny because when I first met XQC, he didn't stream. Yeah. He was a French Canadian. Yeah. French Canadians are universally hated in Overwatch, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of racism towards French Canadians, all right? Yeah. And essentially, we were both high elo when the game first came out, and he would get really mad. He was a Reinhardt one trick at the time. He gets so mad. And this was literally before he started streaming. And he just started playing. He'd switch to Junkrat from Reinhardt, and he started going off the map. He'd do whatever.
Oh my god!
And this was back when Junkrat could still kill himself with his explosives. So he'd just kill himself as Junkrat and end. Or he'd go Reinhardt and pin off the map, or go to like the highest point of King's Row and pin off the side into the enemy team. He was such a troll, man. I hated that guy. We used to hate each other. And then about a year later, somehow we became friends. But that's cool. we hated each other so much. And I got to meet him in person and everything.
That's nice.
Give him a hug. It was cool. And it's just like...
He seems like a nice guy.
Oh, he's the most genuine guy I've ever met in life. Ever. Like, period. Like, the guy is like... He says exactly what's on his mind, which is a good and bad thing at the same time.
Every time.
He's always 100% honest. He's never lied.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. He's a great guy. I really like him.
Shout out to him, I guess, the XQC. He doesn't need my shout out, but fucking his thing. But this is great, man. I appreciate you coming and doing this.
This was fun,
Hopefully we do it again.
Yeah.
I want to get like set up to do like more than just one-on-ones and have like groups of people to talk about different stuff. I have this plan for this Valentine's Day thing where I'm gonna get Mark and Liz and two other people, like another couple that work that one of my friends, and just do like a game show, just ruin relationships. It'll be awesome. It'll be fun.
Sounds fantastic.
It's gonna be a good time. But I want to do more stuff like this in that form too. But normally I would shake your hand. I don't want to get you sick or sicker than you might already be.
I'm not sick.
Okay, all right. Well, then definitely let's not do that. But thank you again for coming and do this. And I think we can call it.
Yep.
Thanks. Take care, bud.